Hello, hello, hello. Gonna get started here momentarily. Gonna get my. This one is called. This was out of that multi-pack. Silver Lining, Rainwater, and Musk. I don't know. It has a smell. Has a pretty good smell, I think. What is the matter? My poor dog, my senior dog, she, is starting to have problems getting around and things of that nature. So she has a little back brace on right now that we're trying out for, a couple hours a day type thing. And she doesn't really care for it. So if she starts crying and whining, that is why, because trust me, they have been fed, they have gotten their vitamins, their vitamin chews, they have gotten their snacks for the day. Do you know what I mean? Like, these dogs will not be starving. Trust me. Alrighty. Do that there. Okay, and from this view, I cannot see the chat, so if for some reason you get flagged, you might get removed later instead of during the chat time. So, you need to be on the blankie. Hey, lay on the blankie. I gotta tell you every time. He just looks at me like, what? Like, this is my pad, man. These little goober heads. All right, let's go ahead and start with some of these angel cards, angel and goddesses. Also on the Farmer's Almanac, which this was interesting because I was just talking to somebody about this, is talking about when you harvest your broccoli to soak it in salted cold water for at least an hour. Because it says cabbage loopers or cabbage worms may be present. So I'll have to do that on my next broccoli harvest. I will say I rinsed my broccoli and then I blanched it, and I don't. So hopefully my next batch, no crazy little creatures come out, right? But anyway, I also was able to pick a few tomatoes the other day and my peppers. Although I ended up freezing some peppers instead of making my jalapeno poppers, which I do have some. They're smaller jalapeno. I kind of picked them early. The plant was kind of hidden because of all the other stuff in the garden. It was like, oh, I did plant like a regular jalapeno. So I picked some of those the other day. Archangel Zachiel, Transmutation, Violet Flame, and Mercy. Numero 10. Where'd that go? There we go. I want you guys to be able to see. I think sometimes it's nice to be able to actually see the cards. I think, the illustrations play as important a role as the words, right? They say a picture is worth 1,000 words. So, when people are so explicit, these days, it seems like people are very, have a lot of black and white thinking, and it's kind of like that nuance has been lost, right? Oh, you didn't tell me this, you didn't tell me that. Well, deductive reasoning, inference would lead you to believe that logically, la 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 la. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, critical thinking. Okay. Archangel Uriel here. Illumination, inner power, and ideas into form. All right. So you can see his hair is kind of messy here, but it's like, that's one of those things. Sometimes it's like, oh yeah, they worked on it to be messy like that. So this ideas into form, it's kind of like, those things coming to life where it's like, yeah, it naturally looks good, but they probably did a little bit of work to get it to look that way. You know what I mean? Like, there was a plan, right? Just as he kind of had a plan here with his more crew cut thing. Well, I see you walking with your back brace on. Yeah, I know. It's not your favorite thing to wear, is it? Leave her alone. Stop. Stop. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. No. Stay back. It's not playtime. I know you think all time is playtime. Yeah, he does, doesn't he? That's what he does, doesn't he? Okay, she had to come sit down by me here. So. I'm very proud of you. You walked all the way down the hallway with your brace on. Yeah, you're trying it out, aren't you? You're trying it out, aren't you? Mm-hmm. They said she has arthritis in her back. So, you know, she's on medication and stuff, but this is supposed to help, you know, stabilize her back a little bit so that her hind legs can work a little bit better. Again, Uriel is number 4. We have Thoth here, wisdom, time, Akashic records, writing, and the number 34. So, you know, they say with time comes the wisdom, right? But sometimes we are very impatient. We want things to happen now. I remember one time talking to a therapist and I just was like, I just want this to be over. I want this to be done. Like, I want to be healed. And he's just like, well, it's just going to take time. You know, and I just looked at him like, that's not the answer I wanted, right? But at the same time, if you heal too quickly and you think you're healed and you're not, then what's going to happen, right? You might get into the same old mess, except it's not a planned mess. It's like, not really the mess you want to be in, right? So, just think about that, I guess. That's the message I want to relay. Goddess Gaia, number 31, the provider, Mother Nature, and the elements. Okay, so again, I was talking about gardening. You know, you don't have to garden to be one with Mother Nature. Maybe you have plants in your home. Maybe you like to go hiking. Maybe you like to take your dog for a walk. Maybe you're somebody who likes to go down to the beach for your morning run. You know, whatever it is. Okay. So, but the goddess Gaia is here to remind us that the world is not just masculine energy, although a lot of our leaders may be male, right, in nature, that Mother Nature itself is leading us. Okay. So, you know, there might be people out there that think, oh, well, I'm not a natural leader, blah, blah, blah. Well, maybe you are and you just don't realize it. Because maybe you're the provider. Maybe you're the one who prepares the meals in your house. You're the one who keeps your house clean. You know what I mean? Things of that nature. It's like, that is leading. That is demonstrating leadership. All right? Because, I hate to say this because, like, he's holding the book in his hand. Not everybody has time for this, right? Maybe you have kids that you're watching. Maybe you have a job to go to. Maybe, you know what I mean? Maybe, like, doing this is, like, something where you have to carve out time, right? That's why they say if you're able to go to school when you're young, do it, because you don't have all the other responsibilities of, you know, a partner, of, you know, children, or even pets, right? Yeah, somebody recently, I can't remember, they were saying they ended up kind of stuck with one of their children's pets because they were off to school at that time, you know, and it's like, yeah. So again, that's stepping up and providing that leadership by being the provider in that situation. Okay, the provider of the home, the provider of love, the provider of nourishment. Archangel Jeremiel, reflections, dreams, and visions. I almost didn't see he had these little spectacles on here. in the illustration. Okay. So, and he's also wearing a third eye shirt. This is number 11. So there could be kind of a higher spiritual awakening that somebody is going through. They might be reflecting on their past life and how they want to carry things forward. Okay. They might be reflecting on their dreams and thinking about how they are going to execute those that vision. So that is kind of this ideas into form here, right? You know, from these visions. Because, you know, when you see something in your mind in that third eye space, it's like, okay, well, that's nice, but how are we going to get there, right? But, you know, sometimes we have to allow ourselves the clarity to even dream. And, you know, that is where, you know, some of that quiet time, you know, the writing, you know, having mercy on yourself here with Archangel Zachiel, transmutation. You know, maybe there's a lot of energy around you and you're just like, okay, I'm transmuting that. I'm blocking that out right now. I'm giving myself a little bit of mercy and giving myself 5 minutes to, you know, maybe journal or draw or, you know, sew or, you know, jot down some ideas for my next project, whatever it is, right? Okay. Mm-hmm. All right, continuing on here. Yes, I see you. Don't worry, we'll take it off before too long. You only had it on for like an hour and a half yesterday. You know, it's brand new too, so I'm sure it's kind of stiff. Yes. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I know. It's just terrible, isn't it? It's just terrible, isn't it? She says, I don't want to get old. Oh, I know. Trust me, aging is not for sissies, I can tell you. Commander Ashtar, Starseed Space Travel, Galactic Guides, number 26. So he's wearing the alien. Maybe you could have an interest in, you know, the final frontier in, you know, the stars, the, you know, the galaxy, things of that nature. You know, there's more businesses now that invested in that and the possibilities of that, right, than we ever had before. It used to just be, you know, NASA and, you know, the space race because of, you know, say, military things. But now it's more, you know, getting back to some of the esoteric wisdom that accompanies knowledge of astronomy and, you know, such as, you know, how did the Vikings and how did all these other people know how to go which direction? Remember when the three kings came to Jesus? It's because they were following the star. So here with this Archangel Ariel energy, that says right there, guardian of the earth. Were those three kings not a guardian of the earth that were coming to celebrate the new king who was not supposed to even be born because of a jealous King Herod? Yes, I have heard the Bible stories as well, even though I am a tarot reader. Right? Some people are so stuck in their silos, they don't even comprehend that that's a possibility, right? But, you know, the real world is, you know, church doesn't just happen inside the chapel. Okay? It's about how you act outside of church as well. Right? Okay. Continuing on. Which, by the way, I was somewhere earlier and there was a guy and his young child with him, and I had to say this is one of the most well-behaved children I have seen in the recent history, because they were very quiet. They weren't running around the place and causing havoc and all this stuff, you know. So maybe he had a talk with them before going inside, saying, okay, we're going to go in there and sit down and I need you to be quiet. You know what I mean? Because this little kid, he was, you know, just sitting there with his arms, you know, in his lap, you know, and no iPad or cell phone or toys to keep them entertained. You know what I mean? Just sitting there like, you know, like we used to. You know, it's these days we think we need all of these distractions, but do we really? And thinking about how technology works, right? From a space standpoint, but yet back in the day they used paper, they used charts, they graphed things out. You know, they used measurements, right? Um, so sometimes it's kind of like getting back to that drawing board. We realize that, you know, some of the instructions were already there, right? Okay. Also, Ariel here, it says environment and abundance. So, you know, you could be concerned about, you know, like air quality, water quality, you know, soil quality. You know, are the crops going to be able to grow? Are the livestock going to be able to have water? You know, or are we going to just feed it all to the data center, right? You know, I mean, like these are the real questions. These are the real questions that people are having to answer these days, right? Because there will always be a new technological challenge, right? Okay. So part of that challenge for us is thinking outside the box, right? Thinking beyond just what we can see and understanding that, you know, we were put here in part to figure these things out and provide the next generation with the answers in a roadmap. Okay. And we can also do that by looking at what, you know, history has already given us. Okay. All right. So pulling some tarot here. Whew. I don't know why I've been yawning so much today. I don't know. Maybe the air is super clear or something. Four of Pentacles. Okay. Which represents, you know, stability. Can also represent, you know, saving. Some people could even call it miserly, but you know, $10 to one person might mean something entirely different to another person, right? It's all how you choose to, you know, are you going to spend it? Are you going to save it? Are you going to invest it? What are you going to do with it? Right? Emperor card, Sphinx, another number 4 and 4 here. So 44 might be very significant for somebody. I'm also getting that 4 of Wands imagery. Okay. And we also have the 4 of Pentacles. So, you know, I'm okay. 4-poster bed, that might be significant for somebody. So I'm getting something very stable. Okay. Again, and sometimes, right? Somebody else might look at your something and say, oh, well, that's chump change. I've literally heard people say that about people's, you know, like, you know, that was the line that Rosie Perez said in that movie, right? It could happen to you. And she's like, chump change, right? And then her character, right? Miriam, or whatever her name was, ends up, you know, having to move back home and didn't have any chump change of her own, right? Because it's usually the people that call it that, they don't value it, and that's why they lose it, right? So they might be looking at you and your little 4 of Pentacles being like, oh, well, that's nothing. And it's like, well, it is something to me. And guess what? I am not giving it to a fool like you. So, doo-doo-doo. Where's Yogi Bear when you need him? Right? Like, come on now. Come on now. Ask the frickin' degenerate gambler what $10 more is going to do for them. For them, they'll be like, oh, I'll go bet it on a horse right now. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, so, you know, it can really mean, technically, right, the world of difference for somebody, okay? The world card here with the snake eating its tail. All right, so, Collective, doing some of this writing, this journaling, is going to allow you to reflect so that you don't have to repeat things on an infinite loop. Okay. You don't have to say cannibalize, right? What you've worked for, what you've learned. All right. And I say that especially, if somebody sees you like in this emperor energy and they see you as an opportunity, right? And you're like, well, um you're not going to come over here and take my funds. You're not going to come over here and tell me my 4 is not enough, when for you I know it's technically the world and you couldn't even figure it out if you tried. Right? So what does that allow you to do? That allows you to step out of the cycle, right? And get back to what you need to be doing. Queen of Cups here with the Goddess Gaia. Okay. So Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces. Again, with the feminine energy, you might be more in touch with your emotions. And, it shows her here with, like the Medusa head and everything. But, you know, have you ever been around somebody and it's like you're just trying to have a conversation with them and they're like, oh my God, why are you so angry? Oh my God, you're so emotional. Oh my, and it's like, well, most people would have an emotional reaction to X, Y, and Z. Most people would blah, blah, blah. Do you know what I mean? And it's like some people don't understand how to process that, and they'll be like, oh my God, are you like on your period or something? Right? And it's just, it's like that tells me that person is not mature enough to have an adult relationship. You know what I mean? They're so excited for folks to get married, but yet they don't even know what the reproductive system is. Like, come on now. They used to teach that in 5th grade. Mother Nature isn't going to stop just because some new religion said that women bleeding is evil. Oh my God, you're such a woman. You know what I mean? That's what it sounds like. It sounds like, like, oh my God, all right? And I just can't imagine, when some people are complaining about their aches and pains, and it's like, I wonder if they've ever actually experienced the pain of period cramps. Right? Like, anyway. Knight of Swords, Barbarian. Okay. So, collective, when you have dreams and when you have visions here, sometimes you're going to have to go through and fight for what you want, right? It's like, where, people might look at you and be like, oh, they're bookish, they're unassuming, right? But underneath you're like, I am the storm. You're like, you better watch out because I got something coming for you. Okay? That kind of thing. Right? Where, yeah, they might not have expected it out of you, but that doesn't mean you don't have it in you. So, in this case, their opinion, right, doesn't really matter. Okay? Because they're judging on something that is still unseen. Right? It's like, how do you, what? It's like, are you in my head looking at my vision, or you think you're in my head looking at my vision, right? You know what I mean? Like some people, they just think they know more than they do, and it's like, and it's almost like you want to tell them, be like, well, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but for you, it's not bad news. For you, it's a joyful process. And they lack that kind of imagination, I guess is what I want to say at this time. Yeah, Page of Pentacles. So, right, you have this Commander Ashtar kind of quality about you here, whereas they are like, oh, well, how are they pulling that off? Are they robbing people? And it's like, what are you even talking about? Like, you're on the NASA vibration, right? And they're on like the street urchin vibration in terms of their projection of you. Wow, talk about needing a wake-up call. Some of these people. Yeah, Nine of Swords on the bottom. They fear they messed up. They fear they messed up because it's like whatever you do, collective, it's like you're standing in the greatness. You're standing upright. You are doing the thing. And it bothers them because all they see is this Four of Pentacles and they just can't, like, they can't figure out how. Okay, well, you know, not everybody needs the newest hot rod. Not everyone needs a boat or a motorcycle. Not everybody needs to go on vacation to this fancy hotel here for a week long, yada, 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 yada. I'm not saying that people can't do those things and can't enjoy those things, you know, when it's within their budget, right? But, you know, collective, just going for the appearance of it is not what you're about. Right? There's a lot of people that enter relationships for that reason. So they can appear to have something, you know, and then we find out later, excuse me, that, you know, unfortunately, foundationally, those weren't built on the best structure. Right? And but you know, what's Commander Ashtar gonna do? He's not gonna be playing 3-card Monty in the middle of New Orleans. He's going to be getting on that aircraft carrier, getting in that plane like Herbert Walker Bush did, and flying his frickin' missions. Okay? Yes, HW. Look it up. Look it up. Again, we have a wealth of information at our fingertips, and we just keep on getting dumber and dumber and dumber as a society. Why? I'm not really sure. Why? I'm not really sure. Part of me wants to blame some of this leadership energy. That being said, not everyone acts that way. So it's like, it's within ourselves. It's a choice within ourselves. Okay? Where you can see the light or you can choose the darkness. I mean, these are choices that are available to everyone. Again, inside the church and outside the church. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and get some of these over here. I think will be good. Some more angel numbers here and motivational cards. Also, it seems like most people are back in school, or school is starting, both you know, university level and you know, K through 12 levels. So just as I was turning into my neighborhood today, after my appointments, I was like, I saw the sign that said, this is a neighborhood, not a racetrack, you know? Because, yeah, some people just want to zip, zip, zip through life. Well, what does that get you sometimes? That makes mistakes, right? It's not always about finishing first, okay? It's about doing a good job. It's about being present, all right? Expansion, 333, trust in your abilities, embrace opportunities for growth and expansion. All right, so yeah, See, you can see she has her Four of Pentacles here, but she's still reaching. She's still going for it, right? You know, you might be saying, okay, have mercy on me. I don't have it all together just yet, but I am expanding. I am growing. And that's what you're supposed to do in life. You're not born with everything. You're not born with a silver spoon in your mouth. And even the people that were, guess what? Their lives haven't exactly turned out all that great, have they? Look at the royal family. Look at the, you know, new money type families, right? That got famous for whatever, okay? Even those people are expanding, right? Because there's still something to learn. There's still something to learn in life. Yes, I hear you. She's just looking at me like, get this thing off of me. I know, but you look so cute in it. Yeah. Yeah. Adaptability 765. You are flexible and capable of facing changes. Trust in your strength to navigate any challenges that arise. Okay. So again, you know, is the hair perfect? Not exactly, but can you still do the performance? Can you still go to class? Can you still, do you know what I'm saying? Like, well, I had it right yesterday and it's just not working the same today. Okay. But can you do some of it? Right? You know, I often end up in that kind of situation when I don't necessarily want to, you know, like clean or organize or whatever. Stay on the blanket. Hey. He's laying up there by my pillow, not even on the blanket. Oh my gosh. See how I get treated around here? Anyway, like I was saying, you know, I'm cleaning and organizing. You know, it's like, you know, 2 hours prior, I didn't even want to touch it. But, you know, I move a few things around here, move a few things around. It's like maybe I only spend like 10, 20, max like 30 minutes. But then I'm like, oh, well, this is a little bit better here. And this is like, it just, you know what I mean? It makes a world of, it still actually makes a difference, right? So again, just because it's not mapped out exactly the way, right, doesn't mean you still can't achieve. All right? And making some progress is better than none. Refocus, 666, refocus to find balance between your material and spiritual aspects of life. Stop putting too much emphasis on material things. Okay. So yeah, again, with this cannibalizing thing, this could be one of those things where somebody feels like you have it together and they can provide for you. And you might be telling them like, look, you know, that doesn't come without work. That doesn't come without, you know, that expansion, that adaptability. You know, some people find out what it costs and they're surprised by it and they say, well, that's okay. I'll just put it on the credit card. Some people find out what it costs and say, maybe I'm not going to do that today. You understand? So, you know, refocusing and saying to yourself, all right, again, back to that $10. Is that $10 going to do me more good in my pocket or towards this material thing that may or may not last, right? That I may or may not want in 6 months. There was a gal I knew, they literally put their credit cards in the freezer in a block of ice, like when they first got married, because I think they realized that they were having some spending issues. Must have, because otherwise, why would they have done that? But she actually showed me, I like, you know, because you can actually call the credit card companies and like put a lock on your card or freeze your card, put a hold on your card, right? But they literally put it in a block of ice in the freezer. So they couldn't use it. All right. And that was them, you know, letting themselves be spiritually wealthy, right? Even though they were first starting out and maybe didn't have all the material things. But what you come to find out as you age, that if you work hard, if you put in effort, and I'm not talking about effort where you just burn out and die. I'm talking about just regular old, even 9 to 5 effort. You're pretty much going to be okay as you get older, right? But you have to do it still. And you have to have faith that you're going to expand, you're going to adapt. Enthusiasm 343. Approach life with an optimistic attitude, even in the face of challenges. Be excited about the opportunities that lie ahead and to embrace them with open arms. Okay. So again, this goddess Gaia, this Queen of Cups energy, you might be embracing your emotions, your feelings, your feminine energy. Men have feminine energy also. That is even a criticism these days of men, that they're in too much feminine energy, right? So people will be like, oh no, you're 100% male or 100% female. No. There's all sorts of things, that it's the yin and the yang, right? And a lot of people, like I said, associate that with negative things like, oh, are you on your period? Versus like, oh, well, emotions can be happy things as well, can't they? Right? Or maybe enthusiastically you go get your partner a little heating pad or something so to make their day better. How about that? How about that? How about that? Right? Because not everyone wants to smell like Bengay. Not everyone wants to smell like icy hot. I kind of miss those old Bengay commercials. I haven't really seen, or even Icy Hot too. Remember when Shaquille O'Neal was first started and then he became like their spokesman for Icy Hot? Man, I miss those commercials. I really do. That and Bengay, that brings back some memories. 747, trust your intuition and make practical decisions that align with your higher purpose. Your guardian angels are acknowledging your efforts here. So let this be your reassurance, okay? If you're feeling reflective, if you're still dreaming, if you still have that vision, be reassured, okay, that I have the power, right? That you have the power to take that forward. Your guardian angels are acknowledging your efforts. You're like, who's my guardian angel? Ask God. For some people, it's, maybe it's this Archangel Jeremiah. Maybe it's Archangel Zachiel for you is your guardian angel. I don't know. It could be a passed over loved one as well, right? That maybe you had a special bond with. Okay? For a lot of people, it's their grandparents, right? Or it could be a certain auntie or uncle, right? Maybe you and your uncle always used to go fishing and, those were great times, and you're thinking like, man, is that something, a tradition I want to carry forward? Yes, I do. Okay, here's your reassurance now. Abundance, 888, financial abundance. Yay! Please, right? Financial abundance and success are on the horizon. Stay focused and disciplined. What was I talking about earlier? Okay, what are you going to do with that $10? Do you need to spend it on whatever now, or is it okay if you save it till tomorrow? Right? All right. Transformation 555, release old habits, embrace new opportunities for growth, and trust in the universe's plan for you. Exactly. It's your plan. It's not their plan. It's your plan. It's not about them. Okay? All right? So as you expand, as you adapt, as you refocus, as you build on your enthusiasm, as you get reassurance, you're going to float into this abundance, and it's going to transform you. For some people, you could be like, well, that's what I've always wanted, blah, blah. Okay. But now what's going to happen is all those little onion peels that have been hanging around saying, no, that's not you. No, you need to do this. No, 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 no. Those voices are not going to be, you know, that's not your guardian angel. Because your guard, you know, yeah, can your guardian angels warn you against things? Sure. But, you know, your guardian angels are the ones that are trying to come through and show you the you know, where you're supposed to be going. Because you've already learned where not to go. Right? Most of us have learned at this point where not to go, who not to hang out with, right? What not to be doing, what not to be spending that $10 on, right? But, you know, because we've learned to that point, now it's the guardian angels coming through and saying, okay, now that you've gotten to this point, what's going to be your next step? And then that's when you ask them, right? Ask them for that guidance. Say, what should I do with that $10, guardian angel? For somebody, it's going to be put it in the bank. Maybe you start a savings account. All right. That is all I have for today. Again, my apologies. I was not able to monitor the chat today due to the view that I had. Alrighty. So please do like the video, especially if you were in the chat today. Remember, you do not have to be a subscriber in order to like the video. Okay. Until next time, please do manifest wisely and have a blessed rest of your day. Bye-bye.